time to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Mattrix, and Whisperer.
Yes, g'day guys, and welcome back to the Sunday wrap-up on the Insight NRL Show. I'm the SC Brain, and Mattrix and Whisperer, my co-hosts, are with me as always to wrap up the week just gone of round 6 of NRL Supercoach. Mattrix, how are you, mate? How was your weekend? Leading the way in scores, I think, as well as always.
As usual.
Oh yeah, no, death taxes and beating you guys. No, hitting them down the middle this weekend. Had a little round of golf on Friday, and it was Mum's birthday over the weekend. So, yeah, no, cup's full, and so's my Supercoach score.
Happy days, Josh. We've had a little bit of a better week this week, which is actually, it's nice to see 4 figures when you look at your score.
Yeah, as I was saying on X today, it's like my biggest score of the season, despite only playing 15 people. So maybe I need to play short. But you guys had a busy day as me, because some interesting developments happened today. Just a quiet one on the socials.
Yeah. Just a quiet one. I went to the Tigers game. I got to witness the pretty poor showing from the Tigers over at Campbelltown. Unfortunately, it was a pretty rough game to watch, but nice to get to a sold-out crowd for once. I think it's the first time they've sold out a crowd at Campbelltown since 2005, since the year we won the comp, which is cool.
Might be the last thing to keep playing like that.
Absolutely. We play the Broncos in 2 weeks at Campbelltown, and I can guarantee you I'll get a nice comfy spot on the hill in 2 weeks' time, I think. But yeah, Josh, you've had a busy weekend. Do you want to rip the Band-Aid off and address whatever you need to address so we can move on?
Nothing to address. Just I got caught up in some internet fiasco. Made a Terell May tweet, and the Daily Telegraph have ran with that. That's become a pretty big story. Apart from that, nothing else major. I don't really. I don't want to be seeing any of this nonsense happening in the chat. But look, it happens. It's part of the game. You know, you take on sources that probably are untrusted, and you run with them, and it backfires, and you look like a bit of a hypocrite when you blatantly slander other creators on X. But part of the game, and live and learn. 12 months ago, I probably would have had a meltdown, but now I'm just like, whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody puts news out on purpose. I know there are a couple of people out there saying
that's the best thing, isn't it? People are like, podcasters, they just try and create havoc. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with a 60K rank being like, yep, I'm just cooking up this grand plan to come back.
Yeah, us podcasters, evil kind we are. But we are we're here to obviously wrap up the week and have a chat about who did well, who didn't do well. So we'll do that very soon. But of course, the show is always brought to you by the Standard Squeeze and Ryan from Astute Newstead. So we'll give him a shout out throughout the show. I think Ryan, our friend from Astute Newstead's in the chat, saying that he sold his entire house due to the strange news. But it's okay because he's a mortgage broker, so he'll be able to sort himself out a new house. So no issues there. But we should dive into Thursday night's game to kick things off. The Knights losing a narrow one to the Roosters here, 22-20. Now, obviously, the big talking point here is Kalen Ponga and his rise from the dead just after halftime. It was looking pretty grim as a Ponga owner, Mattrix. Me and you were both kind of riding him as a VC option in the first game of the week. And I'll tell you what, I was very nervous after about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, I was like, gee, I've dodged some bullets, but this week is coming to get me. It did in the end, but look, he was able to play through. Obviously, got some painkillers and stuff at halftime, and probably with 20 minutes to go, nearly put the team on his back to pull it away. I'd probably still be disappointed as a Rooster in their performance. Like, I know that they had some guys missing as well, but the Knights aren't as touted, premiership contenders as the Roosters are, even with some guys missing. And when Ponga went down, I really thought that Roosters would shut the gate. So
that Ponga, I guess, maybe mishap or where he struggled to kind of get back into the line on defense. He had his back turned, and I can't remember who it was that scored, but it looked fucking ordinary, and no one was ready for it. Josh could have, or maybe even changed the game for the Knights, could have potentially cost him the game, keeping him out there injured for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, when Cheese went straight through him, I was just like,
That's it.
this is it. Like, he's done. He's cooked. But it raises that debate of like injections and all that stuff, and like whether it's performance enhancing. And you and I are both members of the physios Patreon chat. And I put the question, I was like, how come injections aren't considered performance enhancing? Because I think it's a fair point. And it was explained really well about if it's getting a player back to baseline, then it's sweet to go. Obviously, anything that enhances the performance, but it's always interesting talking about that stuff. But yeah, KP, unreal for owners that held him through that tough 2-week stretch. I am not one of them and did not have the funds to bring him back this week. And we'll touch on my fraud of a fullback in due course. But why are we just glossing over Adam Elliott, boys? Top scorer for the Knights, 100 points.
It's because he's such a meat and potatoes guy, isn't he? But he had a try and a try assist in this one. So the attacking stats were there for him. He was great.
Mate, it's just so shit. It's 38, 42, 51, 46, and then 112 and 100. Like, it's just, it's all or nothing. And he's going to have an average of like 60, but he's gone about it over once. Kaipius Paul, how good, Mattrix? Obviously 82, had that try assist, but even without that, still pumping out 60s. We said a couple of weeks ago, like, he's a borderline 205 or 6, like, keeper-wise at the back end of the season. He's just amazing. He's going to be well over 500k this week.
Yeah, like, fantastic. Good cash cow. I got on him after the first price rise, and like, just watching him run those lines, like, looks like peak Sean Lane or Eli Katoa at his finest, or anybody like that at the moment are probably the comparisons I'd use. He's big, he's strong, seems to just be out there. Like, you just need to have Kaipius Paul, I think, at this point. So
it's the offloading for me. The guy just always seems to have an arm free, doesn't he? Because he's just got such long arms and long legs, a big gangly bloke hitting a line, and he always has the arm free, which is great for Supercoach, obviously, as well. But he obviously, with the Knights falling a little bit short, it's still nice to see that these well-owned guys like Kaipius Paul, Ponga, and a couple for the Roosters we'll talk about soon still scored well regardless. So not really anything else of note to talk about with the Knights, aside from potentially Jaden Brayley, who played 71 minutes. Now, only scored 42 points, Josh. So, I mean, the 71 minutes is nice, and that's good to see. And I think we all got a little bit excited, initially seeing a few rotations and a few changes where he stayed on the field, but then he got hooked pretty much straight after that. But 9 minutes off the park, I'd be happy to play a hooker at his price for 70 minutes.
Yeah, he's always been this, though. Like, he's always been 45, 50 BP with 80 minutes. So, like, I'm happy to see the output because it's consistent. It's going to be much more consistent than Lussick. And he had a break even this week of 37. So, probably next week would be the time to jump on if you're wanting to get at the low point. He'll go up very slightly this week. You'll get him for maybe 311k, which is 18k a discount, which for someone that we all had, he was about 65% owned when the game opened. So it's not exciting, but if you think the Lussick train is done, then again, his cash gen's probably going to start pumping this week as well. So you can run either two. If you're getting sick of Harry Grant, there's not a bad thing to just have two meat and potato hookers and moving forward. But that's probably all the relevance. I mean, Greg Marzu, late inclusion, but on the right-hand side, still pumped out 40, which is what we expect from Greg, but break even of 132, only played the one game this season. Played 2 games this season. So he'll drop a bulk of cash, bulk next week. He'll probably bottom out at something around 610, 620. And I don't know if I can go there on the right-hand side.
Nah, definitely not. It was a really big surprise for me to see Anari Tuala line up on the left wing and Greg Marju on the right, which, I mean, you look at the season Marju had last year. What's Adam O'Brien doing? Putting him on the right-hand side where Ponga's tendency to go left.
This week thing too. Maybe it's just a this week thing.
The weekly rubdown, Natty from the weekly rubdown made a good point about Tuala's speed and just being a much quicker winger on the left-hand side to enhance Ponga, so you can just run those sweep plays a little bit quicker. Makes some sense, but you obviously had such success last year with Gagai on the left, and it feels a bit weird to shake it up. And who knows? But Tuala's a guy that's been, putting up okay scores week in, week out. I was tempted to take a punt in the preseason, but never ended up doing it. But for the Knights, that's probably everything. Just scrolling down here, not too much else I can see. But for the Roosters, there was 300-point scores, only one of them really relevant. Joey Manu broke the run meter record this week. He I said it on X. If he played 24 games at fullback, he'd be the fullback one, and I don't think it'd be close, which is mental with no goal kicking.
The guys are. I mean, are we surprised? I'm not. Like the
No,
guy just doesn't pass.
We know, and that's the thing. People are like, oh my god, Manu is such a great fullback. I'm like, yeah, for fantasy and Supercoach he is.
Yeah.
Don't know how about real life. He's a bit of a hog, but like Manu is a must-have. But you need to know how many games at fullback he's getting. Like if he only gets 1-2 weeks, it's like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not quite like must-have territory. But yeah, like 117 Mattrix, it's just like he's just so good for any kind of fantasy game.
Yeah, brought him in. Feel really happy about it too. But yeah, look, that's the question mark whether he lines up there next week and the week after. But yeah, look, as long as he keeps being there at fullback, I think that he's somebody that I would probably like to get. And yeah, again, as Fisher was saying, every Supercoach player hoping Teddy gets picked for Origin. I'm sort of doing the same because Manu was probably in my plans through Origin. I just thought low break even. He's getting an early run at fullback this year. Let's just get him in and yeah, just leave him there till round 20.
Yeah, but you've got to obviously temper your expectations in terms of what you're going to get back from him, I think, which, you know, we're looking at his scores before this. It's 106, 22, 84, 63. So probably, what, a 70 average over that period?
Well,
you're buying him for a 70 average. He's not getting 108 every week.
Yep.
Well, that poses the question. Like, I'm just going to pull up Jay Schubert's things because there's a couple of comments in the chat about Manu, and because he's going to be playing fullback during Origin, is he a buy? And he had a 31 break even this week, and his break even next week will be even lower considering the 100 the week before. If I can just quickly scan. So his break even next week is going to be 11. Like, you're buying him at a pretty stiff price. You're buying him at probably somewhere around the 700 and 750, 760. It's like, can you buy that? Like, you know, you're going to be paying way overs for that for a center, but for a fullback, it's way unders.
Oh, if you knew he was playing fullback, he's a must-have.
No, but like,
it's the question mark around Teddy.
If you see him named at centre next week, but you know you're going to get, at least 3 weeks at fullback,
Origin, yeah.
Is it still worth it?
I said no this week purely because I didn't want to cop the multiple weeks at centre when Teddy comes back. We're talking we're round 6 at the moment, so we've still got how many more weeks left until Origin? 7 more weeks of football until Origin. So, like, that's a long time to buy a guy for in 7 weeks' time. But Manu is great no matter where he plays. He's a quality player. So it is a long-term play for sure. But I just don't know whether I love going this early. There's every chance that he probably comes back down to this price or a little bit lower by Origin anyway.
Yeah.
So probably better off waiting.
And then the question becomes, like, do you see him as a top 4 centre wing by season's end? It's probably no, unfortunately. Tupou, Radley, if you own them, congrats to you. We're not going to talk about them, but we're going to talk about Terell, May. Wowee. 86, very controversial. Everyone was up in arms after the game because he didn't get the try assist, but updates prevailed. He's just a machine. When Payne Haas went missing for us, when he deserted us, May stepped in.
Yeah, he's a gun, Matty, isn't he? Like, we all jumped on, and maybe we were skeptical through the preseason, but he proved us wrong pretty quickly. And the good thing was we jumped on when we needed to, and I think everybody else did too. I think he's probably still a top 4, top 5 player in Supercoach, ownership wise. Yeah,
and should be, like, especially front row forward, so grim. It's just you just want him in your team. You want to throw him out there. Actually, has upside for a front row forward, which I don't see that often. And got some attacking stats in this one, and should have. Like, Justice was right. Like, look, as much as I want to see Crichton sit there with a 90 odd as well, it was just a ripper game from me.
Yeah, and tackle numbers are good, run numbers are through the roof. You know what you're going to get from him. 51 minutes was good compared to everybody panicking last week about, obviously, with the Dom Young send-off, it's throwing everything all out of whack. So it's good to see revert back to the mean.
I think 51 is his minute rotation. Like, he'll play maybe 56, 57 some weeks when there's an injury or a HIA. If some shit happens like we saw last week, then, if they're taking middles off, then unfortunately he doesn't have the ability to play edge like a Naf White or someone like that. So he's the one that probably does lose his minutes. But all things going well, Robbo knows how good he is, and he's just an absolute freak. As is Angus Crichton. Is it too early to discuss Blues? Potentially. He does have that middle. He does have that ability to play through the middle, but we saw Hudson Young play a great game today. Liam Martin always seems to be there or thereabouts in these Origin conversations, and Cam Murray's versatility on the edge. But I'm hoping he doesn't play Origin because, Gus is Gus back? He's got a break even at 24 this week, so he'll go up, probably another 50K. So he'll be 460K. That's still way unders for 70-minute Gus. And it was really promising that, unfortunately, Satili got 2 points, which makes me very depressed. But it was Gus that stayed on the park when Satili came on. Gus stayed on the park.
Yeah, very promising signs. When we were looking at that, with Satili playing edge at the start of the season, I think that was the one thing we were looking at for the most part is seeing whether he got replaced or whether he replaced Gus, I should say. But he didn't, which is great. 80 minutes. The one thing that impressed me was his post-contact meters. He had 16 runs for 187 meters, but more than half of his meters were post-contact. So, I reckon he's back. He's absolutely back. He went
looking to the ball a lot. Like, you saw him just pop up in the middle heaps and just be like, give me the ball. I'm going to palm 3 guys off and then just do 2021 Angus Crichton things, which was just the best. And Gus is one of the first people forget this. Like, people just talk about the Amsterdam thing and, whatever. But it was 2 years ago that Angus Crichton was one of, if not the first picked in everyone's side because he was just an absolute freak. And I really hope we don't lose him to rugby.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. To see him play some Origin footy this year would maybe even save him. NRL-wise, who knows? You never know. But does he become now a must-have next week? That's going to be the question we're going to cop on Tuesday. Everyone's thinking it. I've pretty much already locked him into my trades next week, and I think you'd be silly to look past him now at the price.
I think people have a lot of centre wings that are starting to flame out. Ben Travojevic, Jamin Salmon, Jack Bostock, and we're going to be kissed on the dick with 3 back-to-back cheapies in Schiller, Iro, and now Chevy Stewart, hopefully, that we can downgrade to, and you can upgrade to Joe Chan, who looks like he's lost his spot, to a man that we'll talk about in the next game potentially. But yeah, we're actually pretty blessed with 2RF options. I'll be going out of my way to try and get Gus in this week. So I guess that's the PSA to not buy him. But yeah, I'm really keen on Gus. Next game. Storm 16-14 Dogs. This was a shit show. Considering a lot of people just put all their eggs into the Ryan Pappenhausen basket. And he nearly got suspended for a couple of weeks with a hip drop and then got sin binned, and just an overall not a great night for Melbourne. They got the win, but it wasn't pretty.
To be fair, though, he got 75 with a sin bin and a couple of penalties and errors. And it wasn't his best game by any means. Matt, these top 3 guys, Munster, Blore, Pappenhausen, I know you bought Blore this week, Josh. You'd be stoked about what you saw from him. A lot of people went with Eli Katoa, Mattrix and myself included. You pivoted and went with Blore, so you get the win on that one and saved a bit of cash, which is great. Now, does he become an option? If you don't have an Eli Katoa, or even if you do, can you cop both edges for the Storm with the draw that they've got coming up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Blore's 87 looks great. At the 50 minute mark, he was neck and neck with Eli Katoa. So these edge back rows come in swings and roundabouts. It's like center wings. Like, it's very rare that both centers are going to explode. But Mattrix, I know you were looking at Cam Munster as a bit of a spicy play. He didn't end up jumping on, but 92 points. Is Munster back? Are you believing this shit that he's putting in the media about him not being 100%, or do you think that's just Munster being Munster and trying to forever be the underdog?
Him getting 92 and still being injured against the Bulldogs wouldn't surprise me. He is somebody that I'm looking at. I haven't had a decent 5'8" since Metcalf went down. So, I have. I've had Ethan Strange, but realistically, I can move Strange back down, and I have been looking for a 5'8". I mentioned him last week, 2 years. Look, it could start to become a Munster time. The worst thing is we are getting closer to Origin, but as an alternative to a Dylan Brown or whatever, I love it. I love Munster, and I think that he's somebody I would look when Harry Grant is scoring, and I know we're going to talk about it later, when Harry Grant's scoring 48 against the Dogs and Munster scoring 92, I want a piece of this Storm pie, and Eli Katoa and Munster could be my guys.
And I guess, Matty, you've got I think we all have Ethan Strange at 5'8", and he's got the centre wing duel. So like you've got the flexibility now potentially to punt one of your primo centre wings and bring in Munster. And I know, Matty, you've talked about this in the chat as a potential option for you next week, just kind of getting Munster in. You still thinking that way?
Yeah. Well, I've got to get rid of Hammer. Well, I don't have to. I will be getting rid of Hammer, which is a lot of money. Whether it's boost worthy, I'm not really sure. Munster might still drop a little bit of cash next week. Not much. He'll probably end up staying around the same amount of money. But yeah, I'm not sure it's boost worthy. I suppose it depends how many of these cheapies get named on Tuesday and how many I feel that I need to jump on. So,
yeah. I am a Harry Grant owner, and I am a little bit upset with Harry Grant. 48 again. I just feel like I haven't got anywhere near what I paid for Harry Grant at the start of the season. I think we've all forked out $750K to get Harry Grant in, and although he's only dropped $50K, bloody hell, it's frustrating. Every single time I own this bloke, he goes sub 70, sub 80. And then whenever I trade him out, he's going to go large. So I'm just going to hold him for the season, and everybody else that has Harry Grant can probably just hop off and enjoy themselves.
I don't know. I feel like people are just overreacting to Harry Grant. Like 61, 63, 79 in the last 3 weeks. And, you know, he had an average of 63 coming into this game. Yeah, we paid for a 75, but like, what other hookers are really excelling? Like, I'm talking like, apart from Robson, because Appy's still got a low game in him. Like, Appy still has a very low floor. It's not great because we're going to lose money, but I think it's fine. He's a guy that will play 80 week in, week out, and I'm just not selling.
I won't either.
Apart from the Storm, Jerome Hughes, you know, it's rare that Hughes is like a consistently massive scorer. He's not like a Cleary that can go at an 80 for 4 weeks in a row. He will have these low scores, but has a great ceiling to balance that out. Eli Katoa, 42. Obviously, yeah, as an owner, I wouldn't be too worried at all, Braino. Like, on another day, he crashes over and he gets the 90 points that Sean Law doesn't get. But apart from that, not a whole lot for the Storm. But I assume we're all buying Josh Adokar next week for his 162 that he just gave us.
Oh, 100%. Big wheels keep on turning. Wasn't he good? But like, we know that, you know, Josh Adokar is much like a Xavier Coates in the Storm team. Like, he does have these games. He has a lot of 30s and 40s in him as well, unfortunately, playing for the Bulldogs. So don't fall into that trap. But yeah, definitely if the Bulldogs go on a run and start playing better footy, and I believe this was still better footy than they have been playing, then, hey, Josh Adokar might become, you know, a centre wing 5 or 6 for you.
Sure. Braino, B. Jerry. 87 points. We'll have a roughly minus 11 break even coming into next week on the bubble. Any interest at 345? Did score 31 in his very first game back in the NRL against the Roosters in a pissing down rain, but pumped out an 87 this week. And that left-hand side is fucking humming. You got Burton, Kickow, Jerry, Adokar, the top 4 scorers for the Dogs, the top 4 options on the left-hand side.
Oh, you'd be silly not to look at him at that price. 345K is a nice price. I think the only thing that's kind of playing against Sherry is the fact that we've got 2 genuine kind of bottom dollar guys in the next 2 weeks that we're probably going to take precedence. You know, Kale Iro is going to be the obvious option next week if he holds his spot, obviously, which, look, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't based on what we've heard from Craig Fitzgibbon in the press conference after this game. But yeah, he's a fantastic option. If you maybe took a punt on Iro early, which I know a lot of people did, and you've got someone to downgrade at center wing,
there's a few people that took a punt on Sherry early, but on Iro early, but also just held Chevy Stewart as enough. So they're just getting absolutely blessed.
Living the dream. I know. Shout out to Brent as well. He had Xavier Willison as an AE this week, which would have been beautiful.
Must be nice for some people. Boys, in the preseason, we said out of these like mid-range 2RFs, the 400 to 500K options, we ranked them all, and we were all pretty consensus that Viliami Kickow was like the lowest of all our options. 44, 39, not great. 82, good game from him. 48, which reverts back to his sort of mean. 70, and then an 80-point performance this week as well. 502K with a break even of 48 will probably be somewhere around 580, 590. Really exciting to watch, but it's just way too much I want to be paying for Viliami Kickow.
I think the week was to get on him this week, really. Like, I don't want to be paying closer to 600K for Kickout. As much as he's looked great, I think I said in the chat, it might have been our chat or someone else, that it's looking now like they've finally found a way to use Kickout. They must have been looking at some Penrith tape or something, because looking at that big body Sherry at left centre, it really is playing into Kickout's hands. How they're using him in a block play and they're using Kickout to sweep out the back. I really like how they've started to use him and unlock him. So yeah,
Kickout's not exactly Britain Decor when it comes to line running.
No.
But just give him the ball. Just give him 10 meters of fucking space and say, here's the ball. Just kill someone. How often
did Burton get him early ball? Like,
well, that sweep play, it gets him off a fucking edge and it gets him onto a center where he just murders them. And it's so smart to have Zeri run in and then have Kickout sweeping out. Like, you're going to get him one-on-one with the center and he's just going to maul them. And he did this all night. So I think Nick Meaney, who was just getting barred all night. So great way to use Kickout. But I'd just rather Crichton for 100K less for probably similar scores.
Yeah. First of all, can I address this comment in the chat? Simon, Ryan Hammond is winding you up. I didn't convince him to Captain Grant at all. That was a decision for him. He could have taken the free Kalen Ponga loop as well. So hence the fact I did it and he didn't. So you can blame him for that one, not me. I didn't stitch him up at all. Curran, 64. I think next week will be the week that I potentially can get him into front row forward, which is fantastic. I know a lot of people are probably trying to do the same thing. Jamin Salmon as well, for owners that held him, Mattrix 50. And obviously with Burbo scoring a try but then pinging his hammy. Both of these guys have been moved on by the masses the last fortnight, and they've both come out and scored well this week. So for anybody who held on, you're going to get a nice little cash jump from probably both of those guys now.
Yeah. Feels good, to be fair. This was my AE this week, looping in Ponga. And look, I know he was starting lock, but look a lot better than he has in other games. I've been pretty disappointed with Jamin Salmon, but yeah, look, he's probably just earned himself a spot for another couple of weeks, I suppose, with that cash gem. So
for sure.
I imagine that you're. Oh, no, I was going to say, I imagine you're pretty happy seeing Reid Marnie finally fucking not put up a hooker one type score after doing it for the last 5 weeks. He's put up, 60. Oh, sorry, he's gone 51-44, which wasn't great. Then 96-65, 81. So it's good to see him come back down to earth. But yeah, Sam Hughes, man. So he lost 8 points for the sin bin. So that takes him to 41 and then lost 10 minutes. So we were probably looking at something like a 47, 48 point performance from him. So I've got no issues with him at all. I think with all his injuries, the fact that he's so young, he had no preseason, slowly building into minutes, like -3 break even. He didn't capitalize on that, which wasn't amazing. But the 72, I mean, he still had the 13 in his rolling average as well from round 4. So that will drop out. You'll have a rolling average of 72 and 33. Really happy to hold. I was looking at selling him a couple of weeks ago, but was forced to hold and now should make, another 70, 80K, which is really good for him. Drew Hutchinson, if you still hold Drew Hutchinson, it's just time to sell. Like, you can sell to Eero, you can sell to Chevy Stewart. So I'd be just flicking him on. But yeah,
very quickly on Sam Hughes, won't miss any time as well. Only an $1,800 fine, I think it was. Gus Gould reported on Twitter, so we'll have him for next week. No issue. Not that we'll need him, but
I'm getting pretty skint with all these fines I'm having to pay for my Supercoach players. First, Pappenhausen gets a $750 fine I'm chipping in for, and now Sam Hughes. Like, my Supercoach players are costing me my mental health, but they're also costing me financially because I'm going to have to start pitching in for all these funds. Broncos 28, Dolphins 14. Mattrix, did you get to this one, or were your tickets taken by the fam?
Yeah. No, my brother and they went, and they texted me at halftime, and they're like, look, it's not a great game of footy. You probably dodged a bullet here, which was probably evident in the 33 error count in this one.
Filthy, wasn't it? We were talking mid-game, and I think the tally was at like 28 or something, and it just kept ticking over. As we were talking, there was like 2 errors within like a minute from each team. It was pretty awful footy. But Willison 80, big standout. Josh, you spooked Selwyn Cobbo a little bit and didn't buy him, you fraud. So he got 85.
I appreciate you brushing over my Nick Meaney spruik as well. We didn't bring that one up, so I'm happy.
to talk about that kind of stuff on the podcast.
No, we just celebrate the wins. Obviously we're spruiking Cobbo hard and didn't buy him. Absolute fraud, but I still think it's fine to jump on. His break even was 102, so he will still lose money this week. You better get him for 560. I still think he's a great buy with the draw coming up. Xavier Willison with an 80, absolutely unreal. And then from a Supercoach standpoint, Not much else to talk about until I go down to a purple highlighted R. Walsh. I feel so cucked. Jesse Arthur's dropped the ball over the line, so there's a, if he kicks the goal, there's a 30-point play. He had one try disallowed and just a million errors. So, yeah, I mean, the score's not great, but I didn't buy Walsh for this game. We always talked about round 7 for Reece Walsh and how it's going to be amazing. So, I mean, I'm not really in contention to win anything this year, but I'm just more playing for vibes. But hopefully Walshy can provide some kind of vibes next week. But yeah, this is a shit game fucking all around for the Broncos.
And Walsh will drop back down to close to 650, 670K maybe next week.
I don't want to know.
Time you can grab him next week. I think that might be the play for a lot of people. But I mean, I know a lot of people have KP and they have Turbo. So I'm assuming you're not trading either of those guys out, which I would probably say I agree with. Anything else for the Broncos here, Matty, that you've noticed? Jesse Arthur's 26. A lot of people kind of happy with his score last week and obviously pretty disappointed this week. But I mean, he's one of those guys where if he's not going to score tries, he's not going to score well like every other winger in the comp.
Drop the ball over the line. He puts that down. It's 50, and you take that all day long as a centre wing four. So swings and roundabouts for the Dolphins. No one scored over 70. There's no one I want to talk about apart from probably Josh Kerr. A lot of people jumped on him because he was going well, and now he's not. So just reverting back to what Josh Kerr is. James K has been really disappointing, I feel, this year. Averaging 65. Actually, never mind. He's averaging 65. Why do I think he's averaging like 37? Jesus Christ.
No,
okay,
he's been good. He's been like the best.
I don't know. Every time I watch him, he just does nothing. So I'm like, fuck, this guy must be on 30 points. But no, I retract that statement on Jeremy Marshall King, and I'm sorry for the disrespect. But I ain't retracting my statement on Hamiso Tabuai Fado. Break even at 52, so owners aren't going to lose that much cash, thankfully, with a score of 3. Dunny's Hemi. Physio says 3 weeks. I'm not a hammer owner. Mattrix, you are. You're ranked much better than me, but my advice would be to part ways.
Oh, yeah, easy. But you know what? You bought him for this golden draw, and you see the matchup against the Broncos, and you start to think, hey, am I even going to play this guy? And then I looked at my lineup, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just going to sit Bostock this week, and I'll play Hamiso. But yeah, look, you weren't really loving this matchup for him anyway. Didn't go very well, but yeah, it's time to go Hamiso, which it was probably nearly time to go anyway.
Yeah, I just want to highlight this comment from Ian Johnson about Haas. So Ian says, when Haas is back, will that impact Willison? I don't know. You're the Broncos fan here, Matrix, but like Sailor doesn't offer anything off the bench.
No, I'd say you go back to a 3 forward bench, which does impact Willison more so than Haas come back. Just the makeup of that, like everything, the stars aligned for Xavier Willison to have a ripper game. And yes, he played fantastically, but got those. Oh, I suppose he didn't even get 40 minutes this game, did he?
No, he doesn't play big minutes. He had the try, so take that off. He gets 50. We know the Wilson's PPM is just absolutely unreal. It's like 1.5 historically. So his big threat's also from the goal line, similar to like Ryan James. Ryan James is also like very effective 5 minutes out. He's just such a fucking big body. But Wilson, I don't know. The ship's probably sailed if you don't have him by now. He's 265K. Actually, no, he's not. He hasn't had a price rise because he missed the game last week. So he's going to be break even to -6. We'll probably go up something like 70K. So he'd be 320, 330. There's some value there, but like I wouldn't say there's heaps. He'll probably revert back to like a 40 average.
Yep. Michael Finch, thanks for the donation, mate. Teddy to Walsh trade on for next week.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Eddie.
Pass the eye test. I know he scored 39, but like really pass the eye test.
But also, that's what you're going to get from him every week. You're going to get errors. You're going to get all sorts of shit going on the front and center.
When that run doesn't happen, when that 70-minute to 80-minute bullshit doesn't happen, he doesn't score well. I've never owned Walsh, ever, apart from when I had him at the Warriors for like a pod play at the back end of the season. But I didn't own him at all last year, and this is my very first experience at the Reece Walsh Express. And I was waiting. It was the 75th minute, and I'm like, that's all right. It'll happen. It always happens. And it never did.
It didn't. Yeah. Yeah, spewing. I guess maybe one more thing to mention with Jack Bostock, 53, got saved by a try at the back end of the game in this one, a bit of Bostock junk, which is great for owners. That's going to keep his cash gen rolling at a break even at 10. So I assume he's going to make another, 40K, which is great. Yeah. So that takes him to 520.
just on that game as well, I genuinely thought that I was cursed when Milford just put that shot on Walsh and he was down, clutching his ribs. I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, I've just bought this guy and now he's fucking injured. I genuinely thought I was cursed. But yeah, Bostock, what are we doing? Because he's going to be 520, 515-ish. I think now's the time to be like, cool, I made my 200K.
Baptise.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, I traded him this week because it was a way for me to get Eli Katoa, which didn't play out the way I'd like it to, but I didn't buy it for this week. I did, but I mean, I didn't buy it just for this week. I bought it for the draw. So I'm still not upset about moving him on early. He's made 165K up to now. It'll be 200K for next week. I think you can just take that cash and then you can either get to Eero, create some more money, or you can go up to a Primo. So yeah, he's done his job. Let's move on to the Warriors. Hey, the first draw of the season. So two halves of Golden Point, no result. 22 all for the Warriors and the Sea Eagles in this one. Chance Nickel, Klukstad, Johnson, and Dallin Wateni-Zalesniak all hitting 90s in this game. Now, I'll tell you what, I miss CTW Chance Nickel Klukstad. Because if he had a CTW next to his name, I'll tell you what, he'd be in majority teams after his little comeback over the last couple of weeks, Mattrix. I know you're a CNK lover. It's just so hard to fit him in at fullback only, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And even like this week in draft, I elected to play Reece Walsh instead of CNK. And that just stinks, and lost that round by like 50. But yeah, look, it just makes him so hard to play Supercoach when he's fullback only. And yes, he could be a top 5 fullback by the end of the year on averages. But yeah, look, it's just hard to get him in because I probably would just rather chase a Turbos and a Pongers and even Teddy on his day than CNK at the moment.
Talk about base that B. CNK had 85 BP.
It's insane.
He had one line break in this game. That was it. Scored 96. So he had 86 BP. 330 run meters, 18 points in tackle bust. That's 9 tackle busts. He had something like he had 50 points in hit ups over 8 meters. So he had 25 hit ups over 8 meters and 7 hit ups. So he had 32 hit ups this game. Like, Jesus Christ, that's just mental. Absolute freak. Cherry Evans, 103. He does this. We say this every time with Cherry Evans. He does nothing for a month. 62, 39, 40. And then he's just gone 83, 128, 103 for a 3-round average of about 100. So he just does this.
Got to get him when he's on a run. Simple as that.
And I'll tell you what, if you got him when clearing it down, absolute love in life because he's had a 3-round average of 100. SJ, another one of these guys that, started the season slow, but found his form. 66, 26, 47. And it's just gone 75, 112, 90 odd. So halfbacks are killing it. And not the halfbacks we expected in the preseason as well. So shout out to them. DWZ boys, 91 points. We know his average skyrockets with Chance back in the side. Any temptation, 101 break even this week. So you'll get him probably almost at cost, about 715-ish K. Any love at all?
Just the way I play Supercoach, I don't know about you, Matty, but like the way I play Supercoach, I look for at least some base, like some form of base. I try not to pick players that are so attacking reliant, but maybe I do need to change it up because look how my season's been going. Maybe I do need to just pick these upside guys that score big points or score tries on nice little runs.
I did that and they got dropped, so maybe just tread carefully.
Matty, any love for DWZ?
Oh, I do, but I've already got a Ronnie Mulatalo in my team at the moment. I'm not sure my heart could handle 2 18s in 1 week,
I don't know,
which is always the risk with DWZ and Ronnie.
Manly, Dragons, Titans, Newcastle, who just gave up fucking 130 to Daniel Tupu. Like the draw's handy. It could be a good little 4-week play.
Yeah,
don't hate it.
You get off week 11, round 11 against the Panthers. You bail very quickly.
I bought.
And the problem is we're coming into round 7. People are going to start looking at the Origin fixtures as well. Unfortunately, as much as we love Kiwis throughout Origin, the Warriors only play 1 major bye round out of the 3, so it's not exactly ideal there either. So and that's a conversation for the Dolphins that we kind of skipped over, and I'm sure we'll start talking about that a bit more in depth, but they play all 3 major bye rounds. They're the only team in the comp to do so. So yeah, very interesting.
take this game probably with a pinch of salt for a lot of your middle forwards, especially during Golden Point. Like the game was so played down the middle in that 10 minutes. So a lot of them probably had 10 to 12 points inflated. So like someone like a Mitch Barnett with an 80, like don't expect that. Expect Mitch Barnett to be 65, which is what he's always been.
Yeah, Turbo obviously with an 82, great for owners that stuck strong. I think you can continue to stick strong with Turbo until I'm just looking at his draw now. They've got the Titans next week, which could, I think Turbo's probably a genuine captain option next week. The Eels are known to leak points. The Raiders haven't exactly been convincing, although they've been winning some footy. And then the Dolphins. So this next little 4-week run, and then you'll be bailing on Turbo, I assume, in round 11 when he comes up against the Broncos, into the Storm, into the Panthers. So it could be nice little timing there to jump on someone else with your little fullback roulette. Tommy Terell, boys, 77.
Tommy Terell.
Surely we're looking.
Oh, absolutely looking. Break even at 52 this week as well. So it's not like he's going to skyrocket in price. You're buying for about 310. Left-hand winger for Manly with that draw. Yeah, thank you. Titans next week at Seabus, like a dry Seabus.
Yeah, I'm tempted.
It's just a Kaelira syndrome, though, isn't it? It's a Bronson
You've
Zeri.
got to pass on him. You've got to pass unless you boost and you get 2 of these cheapie centre wings. But you've also got to then factor in Chevy Stewart the week after that, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of cheapies now popping their heads up, Matty.
You've got 7 of them, but they're only worth 1.4 mil. Like, just run all these 200, 300k guys, and I think you'd be okay this year, to be honest.
Can we chat? Can we chat about RTS?
Yeah,
I feel like
everyone's
everyone's
time to jump off.
No,
good.
Everyone's just over. Is it just me? Like, I'm not in a position to criticize other people's Supercoach opinions because my rank is horseshit. But like, surely we're overreacting here. Like, he's averaging 64 before this game, probably drops down to like a 57. Like, fuck. I feel like people are just like acting like he's just useless.
He's fine. I don't have a problem with him. I mean,
he's not the biggest problem in your team. If Roger Tuivasa-Sheck with his upside is the biggest problem in your team, you're probably first. So.
75,
no, you're not first.
75, 79, 58, 61, 50. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just biased because I own him. But like, if you're trading at RTS, then fuck me, your team must be crash hot.
Yeah.
RTS had multiple errors in, like, uncharacteristic errors in this game too that you're not going to see too often from him. A couple of just plain cold drops. And he's still got 50. Like, if that's the floor that I'm getting from RTS, I'm fine with a floor of 50 at centre wing. He's not a trade unless
if you own Taylor May after the news today, like, he's more of a sell than RTS.
Yes.
And we'll
absolutely 100%.
We'll get to that at the end of the app because there's no Penrith players to talk about.
Yeah. AFB 76 keeps scoring points. No tries in this one, which is good. 43 tackles. Good BP. Pretty much all BP.
Good BP. Averaging 68 on the season, so probably goes back to a 71, 72, which is great for him. Just very up and down. Normally very attack reliant. Happy to take off 10 points or so for this game for him. But just great. And with these tough draws, the Warriors aren't a team that are just going to fold. Like against Penrith, they're not going to just get pumped 40-0. So there'll be a lot of work for AFB through the middle. Obviously having Jazz Tavanga go down today as well probably will open up some kind of minutes. You'd think the Jazz role is replaced by Dylan Walker when he comes back. So I don't think the rotation is going to change too much. And AFB will be pretty true to what he's been putting up. But for the Manly side, not much. Olakawatu 66 doing a whole lot of nothing, which is great. Ben Trbojevic 57 at the centre, scored a try, but looks like he's done his hammy. So the inevitable Trbojevic hamstring curse continues. And
that's the same hammy as well that he did 3 times last year. So there's every chance this is going to be a lengthy one for Burbo, unfortunately. But yeah, get off. You've got your cash. Enjoy that now and move on. Can we just quickly circle back to Olakawatu? Now, obviously playing the Titans next week. Now, we saw Jaden Campbell go off with a knee injury in the last game tonight. Now, pending obviously where he lines up next week, you got AJ Brimson then that's going to be playing at 5'8", or does AJ Brimson go back to fullback and who comes in? Weaver potentially comes in to partner Foran in the halves?
No
How does
offense
this
to
all play
Weaver.
out?
Bring
but
Tanner
after
Boyd
this-
back, don't they?
Yeah, it's probably Tanner Boyd, which is just like
So
fuck.
then,
Like Weaver was terrible in round one.
so then you've got Olakau'atu running at foreign, and that edge this week.
Hang on. I just had a thought. What about our boy Keeney? Bring him out at 6. Bring Keeney back at 1.
Yeah, makes sense. That's probably the way it would play out,
That's
considering
probably the
Kenny had the
best
job
play.
to start the season. Yeah. Um,
But yeah,
I don't
Hamali's
mind
just
it.
going to kill someone next
Well,
week.
I'm just thinking who he's running at. I'm thinking, oh shit, is
Anyone,
there every
doesn't matter.
chance he's running at someone small? So that's a nice play. Matty, thoughts on? A lot of people had a decision to make last week on Olakau'atu versus Eli Katoa.
Yep.
That they were the toss up. Who's your choice this week if it's the same conversation?
Yeah, it's Olakau'atu. Maybe you're chasing you're not really chasing last week's points. I just think seeing the Sea Eagles going up against the Titans. Yeah, you want Hamali. And he's been great. If you can find a way to afford both with some of these cash cows, you're probably going to have to forego a Gus Crichton. But if you got plenty of money in the bank, hey, if you've got Eli Katoa and Hamali Olakau'atu in your second row forward, I don't see two better players that you could really have at the moment.
Can't argue with that. A bit of love for
I was going to say, I'm
lack
trying
of
to chuck
sleeves in the chat.
Rowan in the chat. Yeah, because obviously had the singlet last week. Sorry, Rowan.
That's a
Unfortunately.
Tuesday thing, Rowan.
Eels 27-20 Cowboys. Top scored this game by 1 D Brown. What's happening? What's going on? Dylan Brown back to relevance.
Well, he
just
put that
quietly.
little rubber in, didn't he, for the try assist, which was
Yeah, I was
essentially
gonna
the
say,
only
he's actually
kind of thing that
probably-
he did.
He's probably bottomed out now. Like his break even was 96, so it'll be about 635. I just can't. Like I don't. It's nothing to do with him. It's just the fact that like Galvin and Strange are just doing the job.
And RC helped him, I think, freed him up a little bit, but there's still question marks there. I just don't love it enough to. And also, we've got to make a decision. Who are we moving on to get Dylan Brown back in? Because I'm more than happy to just play Ethan Strange now.
Would you sell Bostock to Brown, or would you just sell
Certainly
Bostock to
a
Hero?
I think I would probably rather free up cash to Eero.
I'd rather
personally.
Bostock to Eero and then just get like a Chan to a Chan to a Blore or a Chan to a Crichton. Like I think the difference there is better than Strange to Brown, just like and moving Strange back down. So Gutho back to his non-dominant half best without 6 or a 7.
This is what we expected. Like when we saw Moses go down, I think these are the scores that we expected Gutho to. Well, me personally expected Gutho. Like, I was sitting here spruiking going Gutho over Pappy to you guys. But I expected the Eels to play better. Look, the Eels did play better footy this game. They had plenty of heart out there, and Gutho was at the forefront of it.
Gutho was good.
Just quickly, Radio Buckley, if you ever say this again, I will block you from the chat. This spot is reserved for one man and one man only who scored a double in New South Wales Cup this week, and I pray the fuck that he comes back because I need numbers.
That Mike Sevo love.
Sevo scored a double in New South Wales Cup, and it makes me really sad.
Could have been you. Yeah. I don't know. With the Gutho conversation very quickly, I just feel like if it's Moses if it's Brown out, I feel like Gutho benefits a little bit more because Moses is the organizer of this team. Like I just feel like Dylan Brown isn't that guy. Like he shouldn't be asked to organize.
Moses is more of a first receiver. So when Brown is still playing second receiver with Moses out, it just makes less touches for Gutho, which is just a bit pooey.
Yeah.
But
I feel like he benefits way more with Moses in the team than he does with Brown. Joey Lussick, though. It's the first time I've had to play him all year. How good. And he got denied one as well because he's a spud and stood within the fucking 10 meters.
He was like a bee's dick away from fucking putting the ball. He could have had like 130. Like, imagine that.
That would have been nice. Val Holmes, though, 73. People were pretty upset, Matty. They were in the Discord chat. Everyone was kind of throwing daggers at Val Holmes because he was on 4 at halftime or something like that, and he came to life in the second half. And this is the reason why we bought him, right?
Yeah, he can have 70-point halves. We saw him punch out 140 at some stage. Like, I haven't owned him this year, so as a non-owner, I'm pretty happy to be seeing that. I don't have anyone from the Cowboys, so keep those scores low. But yeah, look, realistically, when the Cowboys are running downhill, and with the way that the Eels were playing, we expected the Cowboys to be running downhill this game. Val's a chance of 120 every week. And actually, when I saw these centers, I thought Val was going to have a bigger one. So
Yeah, bit disappointing. What about Drinky though?
I was going to say, is it just me or the Cowboys frauds?
Yeah, 100%. I called it.
We spoke about this in our chat, didn't we? It's kind of like putting up like fake wins or wins against, I guess, lesser teams, and then they come up against someone who's going to compete. And it just doesn't feel like they're on par with the top teams this year. So, but I mean, Scott Drinkwater's been playing some fucking awesome football. Didn't really get a score that we thought, because he's gone 100, 100, 100 his last 3 games against the Eels, and I thought might have been a decent captain option this week. But 61, not exactly what you'd expect.
I was terrified of watching him, and this is the Scott Drinkwater problem: 1 try, 2 try assists, 61 points.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah, there's just no work rate for him. He needs the Cowboys to be flying, and they are. So he's performing well. But yeah, I think owners dodged a bullet here with this one. Nothing else really to talk about. I mean, Ruben Cotter is just so
boring,
averaging 56 this year, which is what you paid for. He's had 2 scores above 60, the rest 2 scores below 50, and then 2 scores in the middle. So he's just very all over the shop. Talking about mid 50s as well. What are we doing with Sean Lane? Because he's not doing bad. He's averaging 48.5, and we paid 44 for him, but it's just not it's not what we wanted. He's fine.
We wanted that Dillbags Lane combo from last year.
Yeah.
We haven't got that because of obviously the Moses injury. But I mean, if you're like me and you've still got Spencer Lenu sitting at front row forward on your bench, just doing nothing for you, my priority is, instead of trading Lane to try and get Gus Crichton next week, I'm just going to trade Lenu to Crichton and move Curran up. So if you've got that freedom to do that, I'd probably just say hold strong with Lane. What's their draw look like over the next few weeks? I'm just quickly bringing it up. They got the Dolphins this week, so that's not too bad of a matchup. Manly, and then they've got Broncos and Melbourne 10 and 11, so that'll be pretty tricky 10 and 11 for them. So yeah, it's not an ideal draw. A couple of nice ones, a couple of tough ones. So I wouldn't, if somebody told me I'm jumping off Lane this week, I couldn't talk them out of it.
Yeah, I'll only do it to I wouldn't do it to Blore. I'd do it to Gus. And I'd do it to Hamole or Katoa, but I wouldn't do it to another generic mid-range 2RF.
No.
We've learned our lesson with generic mid-range 2RFs, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, I'd do it to an Eero. If you still have Salmon at your center wing, you'd move him up and then you just bring Eero in.
Yeah.
But apart from that, not a whole lot else to talk about here. Ryan Madison, RIP. Supercoach relevance down the drain. What's happened?
I can't see him on my screen. I got to scroll down to. Oh shit!
17. Holy fuck!
Sorry, Matto.
I didn't realize he's only scored 17. What's it? 547k with an 81 break even. He's going to be sub 500k for good reason. There's clearly a reason for that this year. It's kind of like BA. Did
he play minutes? Did he get injured? Did he just do fuck all?
He just didn't.
I didn't even notice he played. If that's anything to go by. Not good.
He used to be like a 65 on the edge, just set and forget, and now he's just good. Now he's just done nothing. I'm just trying to quickly check his minutes. He played 22 minutes.
Fuck.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, the emergence of Jermaine Hopgood's kind of just ruined Ryan Madison's relevance, hasn't it? So,
BA special.
So it should.
That's for that game. Jason Tamalolo putting up another whopping 36 points. He had 2 stints this game, boys. So that's an improvement. But, mate, talk about fucking fall from graces. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's about it.
Let's move on then, hey, to the Sharks 34, Rabbitohs 22. I missed this whole game. I had to ask for a little bit of a wrap-up from you, and I got about 3 lines with all the injuries. Yeah, so a bit going on with injuries. Matty, what'd you take from this one? First of all, we've got to shout out Mattrix's Mulatalo ownership, because he's the only one with the balls to actually take it on.
Attaboy. But yeah,
Yes.
when Hawkins is the top scorer for the Bunnies, that probably just says everything you need to know about this game. And
Mamazoulis is the
Hawkins
second
and
most.
Mamazoulis.
Yeah, it's Memazilla season. No, but yeah, look, Shy Ronnie. I was joking about captaining him during the week, all week, and maybe I should have just done it. But yeah, look, the Rabbitohs played better, but were still really bad. And Mulatolo's just fantastic at the moment. Like, they're getting him a lot of ball, and we know we can do that. But he's got 300s this year, and it's round 6.
Let me ask you this. The relevance and the huge scoring of Mulatalo, is that hurting Nico Hines, considering they're just fucking going left into Trindle's hands down the left all fucking game? Like, is it Hines' job to get the ball down to the left-hand side of the field as much as possible because Ronnie's just on this heater?
Oh, it should be the game plan. Honestly, if you're sitting there, you're like, if you're the coach, you're like, get Ronnie the ball. That's it. Just get him as much early ball because he is just running past people. Yeah, look, it could be hurting Nico, but I think 82 from Nico is a score that, as a non-owner, I'm happy, but as an owner, you're still probably pretty happy. He got a bit of junk at the end.
Yeah, this is the conversation, Josh. This is going to be the one we're talking about on Tuesday.
I was going to say, maybe I'm cherry picking, but like round 1 against the Warriors at Gomea, they got fucking pumped. And it was like a historically low game for Hines. He got 26 and then played probably the worst game of footy he's ever played against the Tigers for 53. Take out those, he's averaging 83. It's not the heights of the 95, but like, it's just the junk. This is the thing. It's the junk. It's not, these aren't convincing scores. He's just shitting points at the end of games, which is fine. Like, I'll take it. I captained him, so I'm happy with the 82, but it's just like, yeah. But yeah, Ronnie, you said 3 scores of 100 this year, and we're in 6 rounds in. Actually, only 5 rounds in because I didn't play. I've only played 5 games.
Yeah, there you go.
Ronaldo could score another 10 hundreds. He could also could average 35 for the rest of the season. Like, this is just the fucking roller coaster that it is with him. Like, you don't know. But Craig Fitzgibbon had high praise for him in the press conference. Said he's obviously Ronaldo's fantastic at finishing, and like he's such a great highlight reel player. But he's like really worked on his work rate and his emotions and keeping those in check. So maybe this is the year that Ronaldo Mulatalo does get some more relevancy and more consistency. So fingers crossed. Teagle Wilton, 88. He's quietly becoming a very good attacking threat as well on the left. They've got 2 really good edges. They've got 2 really good centers and 2 really good wingers. Like, their backline's actually quite good, apart from Will Kennedy and Braden Trindle. Like, they've got really good options. He went 46, 110, 55, 42, 88. So very up and down and priced very awkwardly. So I couldn't go there, but just wanted to shout out him. Blake Brayley, 81. Amazing. Cam McInnes. He is good. Very good. 54, 50.
Great.
And then Finucane, obviously, and they've had their injuries. He's gone 86, 75. Like, do you have to see this with a full forward pack before you take the plunge?
Yeah, of course you do, don't you, Matty? Like, I mean, it's hard because the Sharks have been missing forwards all season. So I don't know where or what to rely on.
I think if you're buying him and you're okay with plenty of 60s throughout the year, like, he was the first added in NRL fantasy, which of course, is scored a little bit differently this year. And, one of the first ones that I pick up in draft a little bit late in like the 5th and 6th rounds, because I think he's consistently going to get 60, but I'm not expecting 75 every week. I'm not expecting too many scores in the 40s either. It just depends how you like to play the game and where you want to take your risk, because there's no risk taking Cam McInnes at the moment.
Yep. Quick shout out to Hamo. As always, he's got us covered. Thanks for the donation, mate. He's got SJ and Hines, and I reckon we're going to get peppered with about 50 of these questions on Tuesday. Do you hold SJ now until round 10? Now we've got the news, obviously, that Cleary's not going to play against the Tigers, so that gives everybody a little bit of an extra week breathing room, unless you're us who held Cleary, and I'm fucking annoyed about it. But everybody who traded him out is cheering because they get an extra week to look. Sorry, Josh, did you say you were holding?
I'm just holding. Like, yeah. I mean, if Cleary was back next week, you can make a that decision to trade. But I'd just be holding SJ now because you're going to have 2 great scores in your 3-round average.
Yeah, and Dragons, Titans, Knights, the next 3 games. So yeah, you're probably just riding that
SJ's
wave.
a captain option the next 3 weeks. I'm looking at him as one.
Yeah. And Nico's draw isn't exactly amazing either. Like you look at the Sharks' draw over the next 3-4 games, he's got what do we got? Cowboys next week, and that's at PointsBet, so that'll be a bit better of a matchup. Raiders 8, Dragons 9 will probably be the matchup you want to have, but the Dragons aren't exactly a team to just roll over this year. They're an improved team.
No, and then there's points in all 3 of those games, though. I mean, yeah, the Cowboys have been playing good, but there's still points in them, especially at North Queensland. The Raiders, yes, have been playing well, but they just conceded 20 to the Titans, and they've also conceded they scored 40 something to the Sharks last week. So that there's points there, but yes, I mean it's not ideal, but this is the problem with Hines. So like again, like the scores just haven't been convincing, have they? It's not like a Cleary effortless 80. This is like you have to fucking scrape and get bullshit attacking returns at the end of games to get yourself to 82.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do we got? Ty Munro, collarbone. Looks like he'll be missing some time. Does that mean Jacob Gagai is back to being relevant again?
Imagine
no, don't even think
imagine. So. No, it's so shit for Ty just coming back and then now being out. But no, unfortunately not. We don't want to touch on Dean Hawkins or Pete Mamazoulis. No love.
No.
Yeah. Pete Mamazoulis, Harry Grant to Pete Mamazoulis next week. Most traded in.
Damien Cook to Pete Mamazoulis. Jason Demetrio. Anyone?
I think this comment sums it up the best from Shorty Williams. Like Nico's fine, he's just not a captain option anymore, unless he's playing like very late in the round and there's no one else. Like everyone else has shit fixtures, which I think hits the nail on the head. You're just paying premium for a non-captainable asset. As if you can stomach that, then that's fine. We didn't touch on Eero, boys, because we have to scroll down a fair bit to get to his score, but because we have to scroll, it doesn't mean it was a bad score. 46 in base power, and Fitzy wrapped him huge in the press conference. I'm just pulling up my Instagram to grab the official quote. But before the game, there was talk about Sifa Talakai's versatility, and Fitz said Kale has done really well. That's why we're comfortable giving him another crack. Sif has been really selfless in his understanding of the situation and saying that I'll go play back row, middle, wherever you need me to. And with Kale, we knew what we had there. And that was before the game. And then in the press conference, again, reiterated the fact that it's not Eero's jersey. It's definitely week to week, and Eero doesn't have a lock on the jersey. But as long as he keeps playing well, Sifa Talakai offers so much in the middle. That gives me enough confidence to go wheels up for Kale Eero.
Have you just checking? You got a source on that quote?
As per source.
Per sources. Good.
As per source.
Cool. Excellent.
I can't officially confirm because I didn't see Fitzgibbon say it. I only watched him, and there could have been some kind of like AI. It could
have been a deep fake or something.
Yeah, a deep fake. It could have been a deep fake. And so I'm just going to say as per sources. But no, like those quotes give me enough confidence to just go wheels up for Eero.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. They've got confidence in him, so we should. And we're not looking at a guy who doesn't have any base as well. The guy's a little pocket rocket. Like his BP's through the roof. So
comparing him to Val in terms of like a similar play style, which I think good body, good runner.
Accurate. Yeah, I like it. So that'll be an easy little cash free up.
I just wish all my guys were named round one. We've got Eero, we've got Kaipis Paul, like all these guys that were spruiking preseason. Yeah. It's a bit fucking
Shout out to Skiddy, who is one of the co-hosts on the AFL show. His NRL team, he didn't consult me with his preseason NRL team, and he started with Chevy Stewart, started with Kale Eero, and started with Sean Bloor. And Eero. All 3 of them now were playing this week. It's absolute genius. We're going to have to get him on the show, I think. All right, let's move on.
Can I just mention how good Jai Gray was this game? Like he is a star in the making. Like I know that I think it was New South Wales Cup Player of the Year last year, but just watching this guy, he is ready. And any Rabbitohs, look, I know that the same with Reece Walsh and everybody talking about how good Tristan Saylor while Reece Walsh was out. Like I don't think, like obviously Latrell doesn't get dropped or anything like this, but Jai Gray, when the Rabbitohs are struggling, like the 45 doesn't show how good he was in this game. I know he went off with a HIA, but he was, for me, the best player on the Rabbitohs.
And it's just a nice change of pace for the Rabbitohs fullback to have energy and work rate. that we just don't see.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, Terell is so good inside 20. Like, he's just probably one of the best inside 20. And take off your fantasy goggles and take off your Supercoach goggles. But can you have Gray at fullback with Terell in the centers, and then when you get inside the 20, say, thank you so much, Jai. You've been really great. Fuck off. Give me the ball. Can you do that? Because I think you probably could.
Absolutely, you could. Logically, Latrell, when he demands the ball, he gets the ball. So I don't hate that. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. I would have loved to see Latrell at centre, and a lot of people have been calling for it. And I know, obviously, it's easy to sit on an armchair and say these things, but watching and seeing, I saw some replays today of Gray and how good and how much energy he brought to this team. It just looked like a bit of a different team, although they didn't get the result in this one. They did look like a different team with him and having that work rate at the back. So I like it.
The only thing that needs to change there is just you have to say to Latrell, you can attack as a fullback, whatever. That's fine. Yeah. We just need you to defend in the front line. That's all we need. Yeah. We needed to, and you can go sit 2 in. We can have the halfback sit inside you, and we can have the edge sit inside you before that, and you can just sit 2 in from the sideline. And then when we get the ball, go back to fullback, whatever. But Gray, he is. I just want to have a bone to pick with Fox Sports too. They kept saying he's a very small man. He's taller than me, and he's the shortest player.
He's a very small man.
But like his energy,
spot on.
Yeah, but like Terell gets the ball. If there's no winger there, he'll just jog up. He'll stand on a spot. He'll palm off 3 blokes, which is great for Supercoach. You'll get fucking 3 tackle busts, but he doesn't do anything with it. Whereas Gray, he just says, fuck it, we'll sprint 20 meters and just see what happens.
Yep, agreed. And Fisher, we're not talking about this purely because we want Latrell as centre wing duel, which would be nice.
But we do.
Yeah. We'll definitely,
imagine we get Terell back at centre wing.
Oof, Terell, RTS. Yeah, and Manu, just load up. 12 for the Tigers, 24 for the Dragons win this one. Tigers were pretty awful. I think it's probably one of our worst performances this year. I think there's plenty to love about what the Tigers have done over the last month, but yeah, this was definitely one to forget. And I think that did come down. I hate blaming one player, and I don't really want to do it too much, but Bud Sullivan just looks out of his depth. He struggled, and we could see the difference in this team having missing John Bateman and missing Lockie Galvin, which is bizarre, saying we're missing our rookie who's played fucking 4 games.
It's so scary that we're so reliant on a fucking child that's played 3 first-grade games. Like, that's the worrying thing. And Bud clearly is 4th choice. Like, he's behind Caesar, he's behind Galvin, he's behind Fainu. He's just sort of out of his depth, unfortunately. None of that, thank you. None of that in the chat, Damon. But yeah, this was a worse performance in the Raiders when we got thumped. Because that was our first game, a lot of new combos, whatever. But like, yeah, this was shit. Happy Carousel. Sorry, no, that's AJ Kapoa with my very specky contacts in. Asu Kapoa, 80 points. Cool. Stefano, 72 with a try. It's a bit air.
He was the best of our forwards.
As a front row forward. Yeah, like that's nearly one of the best front row forwards this year. Take a bow, I think.
Yeah. He was good. It's funny when you go to a game, you can actually you get to watch the game as an NRL fan, as a rugby league fan, not just watching the television for where our Supercoach players doing. So it was nice to actually get that. But yeah, I saw Dud Sullivan in the chat. That's a good one. But Stefano was good. Yeah, the tries there obviously on. But and the line break. So you take 27 off that. However good your maths is, you're probably looking at a 45. So yeah, not ideal without the attacking stat, but he's going to be a play close to the line. I think pretty consistently this year anyway. Boys,
all preseason, I was defending Appy's goal kicking, saying, I know he kicked at 66%, but that'll improve. He's had a full preseason the goal kick, first kick of the game, right in front of you, just fucking straight into the post.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everyone just went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop in the stadium after he missed that kick. Yeah, no good. Hamo saw a lot of what I saw in this game as well. I thought Isaiah Papali'i was putrid in this game. Like it just looked like there's no effort, there's no energy from him. It just kind of looks like he's coasting at the moment. So yeah, I'm not going to be here to analyze every single Tigers player, but I don't get to too many games. So yeah, that was pretty evident. So, yeah, tough. But Supercoach relevance-wise, we're not really looking at the Tigers, are we? We're looking at one Zed Lomax with an 83. Scored a really easy try as well.
I'll tell you what, I want to give a shout out to Zach Lomax because he could just easily fucking down tools. But he was
100%.
spraying Ravalawa when he missed that ball, and he was fucking filthy. I don't know, he was like really pumped when they scored as well. Like you could say to Zach Lomax, like, cool, you got your Parramatta bag, go play with them next year, whatever. But like, he still fucking cares a lot, and I think that's a really good testament to his character, regardless of the situations going on behind closed doors. So I just want to give him a bit of a rap on his commitment.
There's a bit in now, Matty, a security with Lomax, knowing that he's moving on to the Eels. It's been all but confirmed, but that's next season, right? So everyone was a little bit worried we were going to see a mid-season move for Lomax, which would ruin his Supercoach relevance. But now that we know that he's probably going to hold that right-wing position at the Dragons for the rest of the season, we've got a lot more security. Do we now consider Lomax as a nearly a must-have in the centre wing?
Wouldn't consider him must-have because of how expensive he is, but I think he could be a top 3, top 4 centre wing by the end of the year. Just his work rate, regardless of how good the Dragons are going. And his goal kicking. Look, he'll probably lose that next year. I love Lomax as an option. Again, we talk about it like spicy options with like fantasy or something like that because we care too much about Supercoach. I brought him in fantasy, and I kind of wish I brought him in Supercoach this week because, Lomax has been great.
Yeah, like 108, 98, 112. What did he get today? 90, 83. So, yeah, and a 47 and a 51, but that's absolute flaw for him. So for anybody who jumped on early, I think the few people in the Discord and a few people in the Insight community jumped on him early. Well played. But it might maybe be a little bit too late now, Josh. Or is he still a guy that we can talk about?
I don't know. It's like you're buying him as a season keeper. Break even of 56 will probably be around 760. So it's like, fuck. 760 is smack bang in the middle of him not scoring a try. Because without him scoring a try, it's 50. With him scoring a try, it's 90 to 100. And it's like the Dragons. Like there's just that stigma for me. The draw ain't great coming up. Warriors at win, which I guess not too bad. They do concede a lot of points to center wings. Roosters, Sharks, Souths. Now that I think about it, the draw's actually not that bad. So
I'd rather DWZ than Lomax.
I'd rather take DWZ because I just think DWZ's got that 150, 160 in him, whereas Zach probably doesn't. But yeah, I don't know. Good win for the Dragons. They've been a bunch of nobodies. Moving on, I guess.
Dragons are a bunch of nobodies also.
I just want to give a shout out to Ben Murdoch-Masila. To Supercoach cult hero Ben Murdoch-Masila, back scoring at 15, which is what he scored when he started.
And if anybody can find out how Franklin Pele's doing in the Super League, that would also be very relevant information when we're talking Ben Murdoch-Masila.
Boy, fuck it up.
Let's move on to the
Jermaine Tanua-Brown. How's his rehab going?
Some throwbacks to Supercoach depression. Raiders 21, Titans 20. Another game that I thought might have ended in a draw. Matty thought maybe we would have had 2 draws in 1 week, but Jamal Fogarty fixed that up pretty quickly with a drop goal to win.
So Tanner Boyd would have kicked one of those field goals, but Tanner Boyd would have kicked the field goal, and then they would have lost by 9 instead of 10. That's
sorry. Kieran Foran took about fucking 8 seconds to wind up for his field goal when it got blocked. Like fuck, it's like in the old rugby league games when you have to power up the kick meter and like everything goes slow. Everything goes slow, so you get to take your time. But everything went slow for Kieran Foran, but nothing else happened. And there was about 6 players around him that just fucking charged it down.
The problem is if he rushes it. If he rushes it too quick, he's going to tear his hamstring off the bone. So he's got to actually just take his time.
He rushed the second one.
Yeah. I mean, and that just went fucking in the air. I have friends of mine that watch AFL, and obviously AFL finished quite early this week because it was a 4 p.m. kickoff for the last game. So they had the NRL on, and they were messaging me being like, "Foran kicked that really slow, didn't he?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad you can see it because fucking it was just he literally just fucking wound up like it was a short dropout when you got heaps of time to just like prepare it." But the floor's yours, boys, because the top scorer of this game, Mr. H. Young.
Forever young. Yeah, look, it was good. He was great this game. And I think Braino called it in earlier on in the week. Like, just have a look at who he's running at. Like, Hudson Young is going to have a field day against the Titans, and he did.
I reckon we're going to see edge forward scoring some meat pies against the Titans this year. It's just pretty leaky. Or it seems to be pretty leaky. But the Titans have conceded the most tries to right wingers and the most tries to right centres. So we saw our boy, James Schiller, 65
Double.
with a double. That's some real Scotty Drinkwater areas there. 65 with a double, but it doesn't matter.
And the fucking forced dropout out of nowhere.
Yeah, how good was that as well,
Left
by the way?
phantom points.
The touch on him, outstanding. But yeah, we'd be very happy with Ethan Strange with a 73, even though he didn't play. That's actually really impressive. James Schiller with a 65. And we got Morgan Smithies with a 62.
I'm
I've
sorry,
got little
Morgan
highlights
Smithies
over the
scored
top.
62, playing 90 minutes.
Yep.
What a
Perfect.
fucking bum.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Hero. Yeah, I mean,
Taking it.
hero. Bum, but also hero. Like, you love
Cold
that.
hero.
Just, he loves an offload, according to Steve Roach, as he's recorded one in 6 weeks.
Yeah, no good. But you take the points. Eventually, we'll get to a point where he's going to be a cash out option pretty soon, I think, probably within 2 to 4 weeks. But yeah, cross that bridge when we come to it.
Also, Braino, you're away on was it Tuesday? You're away.
Yeah,
Whisperer. Tell me about Joey Taps, because I was chatting about Joey Taps being a great buy-in this week, and I tell you what, 73. He was everywhere in this game.
No, shut up. You're the fucking king of just saying 60 names a podcast, and then when fucking 2 of them go well, you're like, see? Should have told you.
Told you. Joey Taps. I was bringing in Taps. He was in my team. I swerved to Katoa right at the end.
Can I say that I drafted him? He's in my draft team. Does that count?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I think that's fine. Like, you lost 30 points, but that's like the best Taps is going to do. Played all of Golden Point. But whatever. I'm just looking here. I'm seeing a lot of names, but I don't see D Levi. I gotta keep scrolling. 15 points. In 58 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking horrendous.
Mm-hmm. Hey, remember we got torched in the Discord as well by a few people. I won't name names. For the whole Levi to Lussick trade, and then Lussick shit the bed, and Levi started coming good, and everyone was saying Levi was never a trade. They're both the same player, and I don't think I've seen Lussick get a 15 this year. Have you?
No. I also haven't seen Lussick score fucking bullshit try after bullshit try. Imagine if he did that.
Yeah,
But
no,
he did today, but
Danny Levi didn't score. Joey Taps played 70 minutes. What the fuck?
yeah, great, hey.
big boy. But we know he can play big minutes, which is why it's so fucking frustrating that Sticky doesn't play in big minutes. So annoying. Obviously, with Horsburgh out, maybe he had to take some extra load.
Josh Papali'i, he played 50 minutes. Fuck, he'll be in recovery for about 4 days, won't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll have those, those bags, the bags you see all the players put on their legs, like he'll have those on for fucking every day.
2 on his arms, 2 on his legs, 1 on his head. Yeah,
he'll look like Nigel. He'll look like Nigel Plum with the strapping tape, but that's just recovery gear.
Wasn't there a rumor that Nigel Plum went through like $3,500 worth of strapping tape a season or something?
Yeah. I think the Penrith Panthers said it was something like 1.6 kilometers worth of tape in the year, and like $3,500 of like plasto tape.
How good's that? Amazing. Relevance in terms of the Titans, though. I mean, Beau Fermor has kind of held his own. I guess 65 was handy for him. What else are we talking about here? Not really much for Feeder.
$350K in about 10 weeks time.
Yeah, I mean,
can't wait to not own him.
Yeah, you just wait until he bottoms out, and then we start talking about him, don't we? And the time is not now, I don't think. And the Titans suck, so that's also a concern.
Like, what price does Fafita have to be with the Titans in this form for you to pick him up? Like, realistically, if I said to you the Titans are still like this and he's 630K, I'm probably still not interested.
No, if he gets into the 600s, if he gets into the below 650, I'm buying him. Don't care.
Even with this form?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm still buying him.
I'm more of a 580 kind of man.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Jaden Campbell, 30, probably misses some time. We don't know the severity of his knee injury, but I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon from physio, usually on top of that stuff. So stay tuned for that. But that'll provide a bit of a shake-up depending on where they need to play AJ Brimson and whether they bring Keeney back in.
Question now, boys. I mean, he got some junk at the end. He got the line break at the end to bump up his score, but AJ was going for a shitter. Scored 43 this week, had a break even of 24, so he'll go up a little bit. He'll be about 570k next week. Any love?
We talked about him in the chat because I thought he was playing fullback, and I thought they were moving JC to 5'8".
That's not the Fox Sports special that just fucking misreported.
Yeah. If he was playing fullback, then yes. But he has to be playing fullback for me to be excited above 536.
Well, that's the thing. Like he'll play fullback, and then it'll either be Boyd back in the 7, which didn't work, or they'll put Keeney there, and they'll play Bruno at 6. And it's just like I don't know.
No, he still plays for the Titans, so no.
Yeah, I think there's way better options. I think, unfortunately, you're right. I'm with you, Matty. If he was at fullback, I'd be looking.
So I was posting on X, as I generally post a bit of dribble about Jermaine Jolliffe, and I'll go back and find the quote. But there was like an interesting stat. So since this was a couple weeks ago. Since 2022, Jolliffe had played 5 games above 50 minutes, and he averaged 61.2 in that game with a low score of 51 and a high score of 79. He's obviously gone well past the high score. It's so boring, but he played 70 minutes again today. With all the injuries, he's going to be, I think he's early 5s. Any love, or is this just so fucking boring that we're just not talking about it?
If you got Terell May, you don't need to move him. If you've got a Spencer Leniu and you want to go up to him, great. I think most people just have Curran at 2RF, and you can just if you don't have Curran and you're looking at like that low 500Ks, Stefano's probably going to be a touch too much now. Like, would you look at Jolliffe?
Because I don't have Curran. I'm in that situation, and I think I could get around it.
So he went 60. So since he started, he went 63 and 50 and 45 minutes. He had the try, but it was off a kick. So take 17 off that, you're looking at 48. Then he went 55 and 57 minutes last week, and now he's just gone 95 in 70 minutes, and that was with the try. So 65 with Golden Point.
Yeah, so you're looking at probably 45 to 60 for the most part at the best case. And I mean, what you're paying 530 for him probably next week. What's his break even? 31, scored a 90. Yeah, you're paying 550 for him now next week. I reckon that's starting to approach. Sorry,
you probably just get Cotter for his 55.
Yeah, but then he's off to Origin, and
you got Origin. Yeah.
I
don't know.
On the watch list next week, one H Smith Shields with the injuries to the back to JC, and obviously Tanner Boyd sucking. AJ Brimson has to move out of centre, and there's now spots available. He's 238k. We looked at him in the preseason. He had just scored a 61. Any love for Harley? Obviously, he'll be a watch next week, but goodness, we could get Chevy Stewart and Harley in 2 weeks' time, maybe.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so we're going to have to eventually. It's probably a conversation. Probably a conversation for Tuesday, but we're going to have to rate these guys in like level of importance or level but we're going to have so many options next week, and the week after probably. How do you?
It's so bullshit because we had all these guys in the preseason. And we were like, fuck yeah, we'll just run 7 230k centre wings. And then none of the pricks got fucking named. And then we had to go, oh, okay, well, it's Hammer, it's Val, it's RTS.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, oh, no, we're going to give you all these guys once you've ripped your team apart to fucking have really shit structures.
Yeah, I don't mind it, though. I think you need some cheapies scattered throughout the early part of the season to bail us out from all of our horrendous starts. Not for you, Mattrix, but for Josh and I. We need a little bit of help. So happy to bring in these cheapie guys. But yeah, I'm still preferring. Again, we're talking about these Titans players, and then the conversation ends with, but the Titans are shit. So that same applies for Harley Smith Shields in this scenario. I think, unfortunately,
they can only get better from here. They literally cannot get worse. But the Raiders,
20 points against the Raiders. It's not terrible.
The Raiders were bad today, though.
They were bad.
Yeah, they were bad. Yep.
They were bad.
I guess so.
Do you have questions, or is that stumps tonight?
There's look, I haven't been. Oh, actually, we got one quick one. Shorty Williams asked, realistic question, high BE, but is it time for Garrick? Having a look at Manly's draw, it doesn't look too bad. But do you wait?
if you bought him last week, we said to hold, but I wouldn't be going out of my way to buy him. Like, I know Manly's draw is good, but like, I don't know. I just bought Reece Walsh with 140 break even, so who am I to talk?
You never know. You never know. That's probably a conversation for Tuesday. We'll answer a lot more questions on Tuesday as we always do, but I think that'll do us. Actually, no, we didn't mention what we scored this week. How'd you guys go, Maddie? What'd you score?
I'm ranked 716th in fantasy. Can we just put that on the screen?
Yeah. I think I'm like 1100th or something. What'd you score?
1,063 for me. But I was only playing with 15 players this week, so
yep.
Maddie?
1242 with an AE.
Nice. 1196 with spot on 17. This week is the first week that I have picked my highest scorer to be my captain.
Nice.
Yeah. First time in a long time.
I did it last week with Val, and that was like a fucking 92. And I think I VC'd Cleary when he went for like 121, but that's about it.
Yeah, nice.
But literally, I had 15 players and Satili, and I was like, come on, just 25 points off the bench. I'll take that, and then fucking dies.
I remember that it was
90 seconds in.
The Friday night games, right? I'm thinking already, you didn't have Ponga, and I'm thinking, fuck, poor Josh. And then Pappenhausen gets binned, and I'm like, oh, someone probably should do a welfare check. And then Reece Walsh.
And the big Gus went huge, and Bloor was on fucking 40.
I was like, right. And then Satili as well got knocked out for 3.
Bad
and
weekend to be score, bro. Bad weekend to be me.
The Friday in general was probably where the majority of it went wrong. So
I knew it. When Welsh put Arthur's over, I was like, fuck yes. And then he just drops it. And I was fuck. And then Welsh had a try to
like the Gold Coast Titans, it can only get better from here.
I don't know. We said that about the Tigers, and then they brought in an expansion team.
Yes.
We said that about the Tigers. They brought in an expansion team, and then we went even lower. What if next year we make this a 4-man podcast? What if I do go lower? Aman. What if we recruit Aman and I just am 4th? People on Twitter today were obviously having a go at me about the Ethan Strange thing, and they were saying I'm washed. Maybe I am. Maybe I am Shaq on the Celtics.
Shaq on that's way too far. Way too far. But no, we already to go for 2 hours. We can't add a 4th person because we would go for we'd break the record for the longest podcast ever.
What's that? Like 6-hour podcast. My wife would murder me.
Like WWE goes for 3 hours every week. That would be us. We would just go for 3 hours every fucking week.
Yeah, no. So Agent Cheese is asking who's in more danger of getting sacked, JT or Whisperer. No, so Whisperer has full support of the board at the moment. We won't be answering any more questions at this point.
Jesus.
No, that's enough shit chat from us. But guys, we'll be back on Tuesday to talk team lists and trades and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching and joining us and asking all your questions. Let's hope we see some green arrows tomorrow. That would be lovely. But until Tuesday, been listening to another Insight NRL show. Catch you later.
Cheerio.